Ladies, gentlemen, others. The year is slowly pulling down its curtain and 2024 is rapidly approaching. 23 has been a big W for gamers everywhere, and a lot of straight up fire has come out, allowing us to set aside our issues and relive for a while, letting us immerse ourselves in another world, another place. The only sad part is that time hasn't been my ally and I missed a lot of those bangers. Yet celebrations are in order. Let's start by taking out the trash, wallow in disappointment for a while, look forward to 2024 slightly, and followed by finishing strong with the top 10 games that I have played this year. Sit back in the recliner, pop a sody, and full enjoy the free entertainment. On me, guys. And remember, cool people are subbed. When talking about disappointments, not me, there are different scales. You can be just a little disappointed, medium disappointed, and asking a girl on a date and getting the ew reply disappointment. Lords of the Fallen belongs in the last category, unfortunately. First off, it's disappointing, not bad. But ever since the badass announcement trailer dripping with potential during Gamescom last year, not to hear my words, what to mean, what to say, I've been a hyped little boy. I also made my best to avoid any spoilers, since I wanted to go in blind in what I was sure would be a fantastic game, perhaps one of the best Souls-likes ever made. And I was disappointed. The game was so refreshing in certain aspects, certain mechanics, and extremely tedious, lacking any fun in others. Forgettable, boring bosses. Huge performance issues on release that continues to plague the experience to this date. Unnecessary amount of enemies that pretty much all look the same throughout the entire game, and tedious, at times incredibly frustrating design choices and enemy placements. On consoles it's even worse, brimming with intense lag, stuttering, dropped inputs, and a lot of other shit as well. The game had potential for sure, but in my eyes it squandered it and made it the biggest disappointment of the year instead. A game I'll probably never replay. And I wish it wasn't so, because what it does right with flying colors. If you want, you can check out my video about the game that I made a while ago. I'll talk more in depth about the game in that one. Yeah, just a shame. Well, luckily and strangely enough, I haven't personally played any disasters this year. I've only gazed upon them from afar. But I kinda need to include a game, so the only contender is Redfall. Redfall gets the dishonorable title because it was the only game I kind of looked forward to, but that I'm thankful I entirely skipped out on. Releasing as a buggy, unpolished mess that constantly crashed or spazzed out. Add on some very repetitive gameplay that lacks depth, a boring narrative that you'll forget as soon as you close it, and finalizing the nail in the coffin, there's nothing to do except the main storyline while not being replayable at all. It continues to be a disappointment and abandonware already, so don't hold out hope for it to be fixed. Aside from the disaster that is Redfall, I'd wager that those that look forward to Gollum had an existential crisis or straight up depression when that turd got dropped. Yeah, I did. So I'm mostly sorry for those guys. ...2024, it's going to be crazy for games. You've got Tekken 8, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Avowed, Hellblade 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, The Wolf Among Us 2, Alone in the Dark, Hyperlight Breaker, Stalker 2, and countless other games. I've loved Heroes of Might and Magic 3 my entire life and I never tire of it. So Songs of Conquest is definitely a close second in this category. I love it so much already and I've been having a lot of fun playing that game. But among all of these are my most anticipated game, Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 FES was an important time in my life. I slowly relearned who I was. I enjoyed those late nights in the dome with the gang, and I felt like if that place actually existed in reality, like the way it does in game, it would be a place I would have loved. The story was perhaps my favorite of the Persona series so far. Places and events that seemed magical, and I was thrilled with a more realistic, somber take on the world, life and meaning. I've pre-ordered the collector's edition and I'm counting down the days until my feelings can get hurt once again. One of the games that I wanted to play for a long time is A Way Out, directed by our own Joseph Fares, courtesy of Hazelight Studios. Somehow I managed to dodge spoilers or gameplay videos and snatched it during a sale, which I'm very thankful for. The journey began, and what immediately caught not only my attention but my heart was two handcrafted yet flawed individuals cooperating to get out of prison, get revenge and clear their name. This sounds like a typical movie plot because it kinda is. But circling back, what makes it work is good storytelling and amazing characters that you grow to really care for in a strange way. The drawback is that it's a linear game. You'll play it max twice, I think, if not only once. But as you play, there's multiple things and mini-games you can do as the characters react and radiate a sense of being real people. The ending itself is something I didn't really like, but as time passed, I've ruminated and pondered over it, and you know what? It makes a lot of sense, whichever ending you choose. I don't want to spoil anything here, but I'll say that I highly recommend this one. For this next entry, let me warn you beforehand and say please don't unsubscribe, okay? Okay, now that we're on the same page, I have never actually finished an Uncharted game before. I know, I should be ashamed of my lowly self, but they never really spoke to me before. But now... Uncharted really carries the spirit of adventure that movies like Indiana Jones, The Mummy and National Treasure evoke. This grand adventure that's steeped in mystery, exploration and, to be honest, a lack of realism, but it amplifies the enjoyment. Gunplay is serviceable, but not fantastic, but what carries this game is the character every location brings along with great writing. Yes, the story is a bit predictable, but there's never a moment where I feel like I'm not having fun and enjoying myself. What I'm looking forward to the most is being able to experience the other entries in the series, as I have the collection. I have no doubt the others will be just as fun as this one. This year I tried out streaming, experimenting with different games and emulators that I liked, but there's never going to be something that outbeats the PS2 in terms of overall quality. Game after game after game, I never had a dull moment fighting and learning every move in Capcom vs SNK 2, winning over my friends in Pro Evolution Soccer 2006, visiting action-filled planets in Ratchet & Clank, or watching my uncle play Tenchu. The memories, they just never stop. But a game I'll always return to is the best snowboard game ever made, SSX3. Somehow this game from so far back has an incredible atmosphere, an immersion that's honestly hard to beat and never-ending amounts of fun. Shredding down the slopes in whatever way you want, whatever way you find, discovering unfound collectibles and banger segways. There's nothing quite like it. And honestly, SSX Tricky, SSX3 and On Tour even holds a special place in my heart. Playing this game reignited a piece of childhood I felt lost, and discovering unplayed PS2 games is definitely on my schedule for this coming year. Thank you so much, SX3. For this year I really wanted to put Songs of Conquest on this list, but I couldn't since technically it's still not released, and I want it to be released first, properly. The replacement will be a game you all know in some way, I'm certain. A game hailed as one of the best ever made. A game that seems almost never ending. That's right, The Elder Scrolls. Although an unreleased game so far, very late in the year, like maybe 1-2 weeks ago, I started to really get into Lethal Company, and it's been incredible ever since. I've been playing it with some friends, and thankfully I've somehow managed to avoid pretty much everything the game has to offer, in terms of monsters, moons, mechanics and many other parts, which by discovering them for yourself is just a wonderful experience. I'm also extremely impressed by the sole developer of this game, as most things seems intentional and deliberate. While at times you may find yourself in an unforgiving or straight up unfair position, you'll never actually feel cheated, and instead you'll just laugh at the silliness and crazy death you just got. Lethal Company never fails to steal my attention from the minute I start it to the second I close the game, and even after. It's just so much fun. One of the games that I put the most amount of hours into must be Titan Quest. Along my friends, we grinded for gear and helped each other progress through the different worlds in the game. And all of us beat the game eventually, which is among my fondest memories. Anniversary Edition, along with Ragnarök and Atlantis, is some of the most fun I've had, and it reignited a fire within me that I missed for many years. I found myself putting multiple hours per day into new characters, trying out different builds, and enjoying the time spent mastering each of those characters. Getting cool new loot and readjusting my masters to fit whatever I enjoyed the most. Experimenting with new combos I hadn't tried before. And the trailer for Titan Quest 2 aligning with the period I played Anniversary Edition was too hard to handle for me. Getting me emotional just thinking about all the fun the game had given me and how much fun I hope that Titan Quest 2 will be. When a thing both fascinates and scares you at the same time, that is called being in awe, or frisson. A game I had in the backlog was due to that very reason. A game that managed to shock my system. You'll get that in a second. The System Shock remake from this year was a remarkable success, despite some extreme back and forths over the years. Originally intended for a 2017 release, problems plagued development and 3 distinct restarts was needed before releasing this year in May. I will say it takes some getting used to before finally being immersed fully into the experience, but when it clicks, oh boy does it click. Being trapped in space and simultaneously being at a disadvantage is no great feeling, and add dread and paranoia to that formula and you really have a terrifying experience. I was always on edge, ready for enemies to come at me from any corner, and I felt lost in an enormous station I never knew, which is System Shock at its greatest. I hope Night Dive continues on this path and brings us an incredible remake for the second game, as System Shock 3 is stuck in limbo and might be forever due to licensing rights and other issues. A shame. One of the most ported games ever has made its way to the PS5 console in the form of a remake. Second remake of Resident Evil is just 10 out of 10 in quality and fun. 3 managed to ruin the very real phobia I had for Nemesis, yes, that is very serious. And 4 4 Remake was a valiant and mostly successful take at what made us all love the game, replaying it over and over and over again. While being far from perfect, missing scenes and sections, having less atmosphere and immersion overall, and a deadpan Ada, the remake still manages to hit the same highs, and is just as addictive as the OG was in 2005, and still continues to be. I had an amazing time with the game. Getting the Platinum trophy was an easy choice. It felt like a challenge while not being too tedious, which most games nowadays unfortunately are. Just look at Lords of the Fallen over there. Somehow I felt like I had traveled back in time during the release window of the remake, and I could enjoy the simplicity of just sitting back in a couch enjoying a game for what it was, just having fun. As a whole, 4 Remake was a fantastic experience that I recommend to anyone even remotely interested in the genre. I have no idea whether CapGod decides to remake 5 and 6, but I feel like the focus should be changed to those underappreciated games in the series, maybe Code Veronica, Zero and Revelations for example, but only time will tell. As shocked about this as you are, am I. The reality is, my channel pretty much lives and dies by Persona, and just this year I finally got around to Persona 3. I was not ready. Persona 3 straight from the start has a more sinister, dark take on the formula, with the theme of life and death ingrained into the story itself. From start to finish there are a lot of morbid events, and among those Persona games I played, the third game is the most grounded in reality. The one that honestly speaks to me the most in terms of story, setting and style. The characters are all flawed, but continually evolve throughout the game, and I dare say that all of them are interesting and multifaceted. Even though the social links themselves are mainly lacking except a select few, the storytelling and persons within these links radiate a personality and charisma that's hard to create in these situations. All this and the ending makes for something extra special, and I find myself thinking back on some of the most enjoyable moments that I had, that I found myself in my daily life. Persona 3 is simply beautiful. Talk about comeback for the most regarded name in the fighting sphere. Sorry for getting all crazy up there for a while. Street Fighter 6 is not just a fantastic fighting game, it's a milestone for how a polished, fun-first, newcomer-friendly fighting game should look at release. In fact, I had so much fun with the game that the hours just flew by, either spent on training, doing combo trials for every character, playing through the world tour with my own character, or fighting against increasingly difficult enemies. The characters are more vivid, with more personality, and it's fun to explore and learn about what happened timeline-wise since Street Fighter 3. The new systems allows for aggression, while not being as bad as Street Fighter 5 was, and it can also punish a player heavily if they rely too much on any of the particular available mechanics in the game. And so far the pace hasn't dropped, and more characters are added as time passes, with the next being Akuma himself. If they keep doing smart decisions, not falling back on microtransactions too much, which it unfortunately also seems like they are, just check out those prices, holy fuck! This is, in my opinion at least, the best available fighting game currently. The only one that I see can overtake this in the foreseeable future is Tekken 8. But we'll see about that.
Power beyond your imagination.
Come back to me, Carlo!
Lies of P started out with disappointment for me when I played through the demo with a friend. But seeing as it's number 1, I guess you already figured out it didn't remain that way. As fate would have it, after my SSX3 game recommendation, September was looking empty. But in my darkest moments, a light revealed itself, and that light was a month-free Game Pass subscription. So without any reason to overlook this, I gave it another go that resulted in over 4 playthroughs of difficult fights, fantastic surroundings, tight gameplay, and an emotional story that plucks at your heartstrings. It's also more linear than most Souls-likes, but individual area designs help mitigate this, and at times you get this déjà vu over how you experience the level design Souls games are known for. And while it lacks in character customization, it more than makes up for when it comes to individuality of how you want your weapon to work. Being able to combine different handles with different weapon parts, changing not only scaling but also moveset and activated abilities. Great boss designs, fights and majestic soul-moving music that you listen to for hours, and perhaps the most important part, a smooth, non-interrupted gaming experience without microtransactions and other unimportant things. Lies of P carries the soul of what gaming should be all about, having a fun, memorable time, and it is a game I can wholeheartedly recommend. Lies of P made me appreciate life itself. And those are all the games I played during 2023 that made my year better, that made my year disappointing, and those that made my life less than tolerable. There are always going to be multiple duds and multiple bangers, no matter what year, and I'm just glad I could end the year on this note. Looking forward to whatever games I and all of you get to play during 2024, and for that matter, what our lives would look like this coming year. So dudes, dudettes, others, no matter what, I wish you an end to this year and a welcome to a new year. A year that I hope will be better than anything we've ever seen before for all of us. Happy New Year, and I wish you all the best. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.